Mate! Poddy, move! Move! Right, okay, sorry for the pause in getting started there. Same problem as yesterday. Facebook Live doesn't want to actually play. Just stand by while I turn the volume off on my computer. So yeah, Facebook Live just not playing. So granny squares, just a basic everyday granny square. Granny squares come in all shapes and sizes and patterns, and you can do really fancy ones, but this is just a basic granny square, the original granny square. They're very versatile. You can make all sorts out of them: bags, hats, shoes. You can actually make slippers out of them, slippers, scarf, dress, skirt, shorts. I'm sure you've seen all manner of things with granny squares. So that's what we're going to start with today. And the traditional way of starting a granny square is with what they call a magic circle. Now, some people can get on okay with them and some people can't. If you can't get on well with a magic circle, what you can do to start off your granny square is do a chain of about 6 and then slip stitch into the first chain to form a ring, so that it's now that shape, and then you make your initial stitches into the ring of chains. What that will leave you with is a bit of a hole in the middle at the end. If you want it to be really cinched up tight in the middle of that starting circle, magic circle is the way to go. Now, some people would advise you to wrap twice, like so, around your fingers to start a magic circle. I tend not to do that. Hold the yarn, wrap it once, bring it over like so. So this is your working end of the yarn. So what you then do is stick your hook underneath the front wrap, grab the second wrap, pull it through, and then twist the hook like that. So what you're left with is something like this. It's just a little wrap of wool, and this is your loose end. So to start with, the only 2 stitches, or 3 I suppose if you count slip stitch, the only 3 stitches that you need to know to do a granny square is a double crochet, a chain, and a slip stitch. So this is how you're going to start with your magic circle. granny squares have got 4 sides, and therefore your starting circle needs to have 4 elements to it. So, and because it's all double crochets, the first thing you need to do once you've formed your magic circle is chain up 2. Chain 2. Let me zoom in a little bit. There we are. So you've got a chain of 2, then double crochet, wrap your yarn over. This chain 2 that you've just done will count as your first double crochet stitch. So to make a granny square, you do 3 double crochets in one little granny cluster. So yarn over, put your hook through the magic circle, grab the yarn and pull it through. You then, I tend to pinch it here, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops on the last 2 loops on the hook. So that's the second double crochet. Yarn over, through the hook, pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yeah, my yarn's not wanting to play today. Yarn over, pull through 2. Right, that's your first little granny cluster. Now what we need is 4 of these little clusters inside that circle to start the granny square. In between each cluster there is a number of chains. Now it will depend on how tight or loose your tension is, and you will find over time, you'll find what works for you. Traditionally it would be make your 3 double crochets and chain 3. Some people don't chain any, some people chain 1, some people chain 2. 3 is the norm. And then we're going to make another cluster of 3 double stitches. So yarn over, through the magic circle, and pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. 2 more double crochets, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. 1 more, yarn over, through the circle, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's your next set of 3. So then we need a space, so we're going to do another chain of 3, and then we're going to do our next granny cluster of 3 double crochets. That's 2, and the final one, that's 3. So I've now got my 3 clusters. As you can see, this thread's starting to get a bit short, so what I'm going to do is start cinching up my magic circle by just pulling on that tail end, leave myself a little bit of slack because I have got another cluster to put in here. So we're going to do a chain of 3, and we're going to do our final granny cluster set of 3 double crochets. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. 1 more, let me get a bit more slack on my yarn. Okay, so that is 2 double crochets, so I've got one more. So that is, you can see already it's taking a lovely square shape, and that's because we've done 3 chain stitches. If you do less chain stitches, it takes a while for the shape to really stick out. The more chains you put in these corners, the more spaces there'll be in your granny square. If you want something that looks a bit tighter and a bit more dense, just do 1 or 2 chain stitches. You do need to ideally do at least 1, but you'll find your own preference. Now, so the only thing that is missing now is my 3 chain stitches for this corner. So we'll go ahead and do them. 1, 2, 3, and then we need to join this to this. Now remember, your starting chain was your first double crochet stitch. So what excuse me, what you need to do is slip stitch into the top of this. If you look at that stitch, that's the top of it. That stitch, that's the top of it. This is your starting chain. This here is the top of that starting chain. So what you do is, obviously, before you do that, oh no, we're doing a slip stitch, you go through the stitch, pull the yarn through the stitch, and then pull the yarn through the last chain stitch, like so. And that is the first part of your granny square. So what we're going to do here is, you don't have to turn your work on these, you just work on the same side all the time. So we're going to chain up 2, and we're going to make 1 double crochet into this space. So then you're going to do a chain of 3, drop dumping stitch, and then you're coming into this corner. So on every corner you will need to do a granny cluster of 3 plus a chain 3 plus another granny cluster of 3 double crochets. So, oh, haven't wrapped my yarn up. So I'm going to wrap the yarn. I'm going to do the first of my 3 double crochets. 2 and 3, and then we're going to chain 3, 2, 3, and then we're going to do another 3 double crochets all into this same corner space. So that is 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there is your first corner of your second row formed. Now obviously there are no spaces along the side yet, that'll come on the next row, so we're going straight to the next corner. But first you need to do your chain of 3, and then we're going to do the same as we've done here in all of the corners, in fact. So 3 double crochet, 3 chain, 3 double crochet. pulling out some yarn because it's getting on my nerves. Right, so that's 1 double crochet. Oh, 2, and 3. Then we've got a chain 1, 2, 3, then 3 more double crochet into the same corner space, 1, 2, and a 3. So there you can see your granny square starting to take a shape. So chain 3, it's a corner, so we've got 3 double crochet, oh, cat interference. Yeah, move on, thank you. That's 3 double crochet, chain 3, and 3 double crochet. Oh, you're sitting on the keyboard, Ruben. Mate. Just excuse me while I sort my computer out, because that boy is, as usual. There we are. Right, okay, so where have we got to? I forgot where I got to because the cat's put me off. So I've done 1, 2, 3 chains, and now I need to do another 3 double crochet. Don't be scared to just, you know, push them around if you don't think you've got enough space there. So yarn over, pull up a loop, go through 2, go through 2, that's 2, Ruben, stop being a nightmare, that's 3. So that's 3 corners done. Then we'll do, move on, thank you. We're going to do the chain 3, and then we're going to finish off this corner. Now in this, from now on, you're going to ignore that chain 2, which just takes your work up. That is not going to count as a stitch. Your first stitch is going to be this double crochet. So what we need to do anyway to get to that, first of all, we have to do another cluster of 3 double crochets. And then we're going to do a chain 3 to make our corner space. And then you've got a double crochet here. So what we're going to do is another 2. Now if you feel like the work's going to be too bulky, you can incorporate that one if you want to, In fact, looking at that, I think I will, because it's quite chunky yarn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch into the chain, the top of the chain 2. So for this particular yarn, we will do that. Right. So if you wanted to just carry on in the same colour, ignore this tail. Oh, in fact, you know what? We've got a magic circle. Let's tighten the magic circle up. So all you do is grab your tail end and pull and pull and pull, and there it's closed itself up. So if you were going to carry on in the same colour, all you would do is chain up 2 and then make your chain 3. Then you'll make your next granny cluster in here, chain 3, granny cluster of 3, chain 3, granny cluster of 3, chain 3, granny cluster of 3, chain 3, another corner space. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually slip that back out, because what we want to do here now is change yarn colour. And the way you will do that is, when you get to the final part of the stitch for this round, you are going to bring in your new yarn, and you're going to finish off that stitch with the colour that you're changing to. So just, you can make a slip stitch if you want to. I tend not to bother. I just grab it and pull it through, and for the first couple of stitches I just hold it at the back of the yarn. You can let go of this one now because you're not going to be using it anymore. Find the end that you're going to be working with. That's it. I just hold them at the back there, and then that way it brings in your new colour at the top of that stitch, which is what you don't want, is a pink stitch sticking up there. So 1, 2, chain up 2, right, okay, and then we're going to do double crochet back into that space there. And as soon as you've made your first stitch like that, you can let go of that at the back. If you don't feel comfortable just leaving them hanging, tie a little loose knot in it, or a tight knot in it if you're happy to finish it off like that. What we're going to do now is we're going to carry on with the next round, which is 3 chain, and then in this space you're going to make another granny cluster of 3, double crochet. Okay, then we're going to, I'm just going to finish this round off, and then I'm going to show you how you would join them. So so we've done a cluster of 3, so we need a chain of 3, another cluster of 3, not right now, I'm busy doing something, just have to wait a minute, chain of 3, another cluster of 3, so push it round if you don't feel like you've got enough room, that's fine, you can maneuver it. Yeah, my yarn's stuck. 1, 2 and 3, chain of 3, one, two, three, right. I think that's enough. That you see how widely spaced they are. That's because we've done 3 chains in between the in between each cluster. I'm going to stop there because it just carries on in exactly the same way, and you can carry on increasing that to whatever size you want. You could carry on like that and make a square blanket just by doing one more, you know, just by doing more and more rows of granny square. What I am going to show you now is how you would join some squares together. So one thing I will show you is if you want this kind of square look in the corner, what you do need to do is make 2 rows of each colour, because otherwise what will happen is, and these are granny squares that I did for something else, which I'll just show you. It's more, because I basically did 1 row of each colour, so 1 row of orange, 1 row of black, 1 row of purple, 1 row of black, and as you can see, the purple are like little islands around the side, or probably better to see on this one actually. So yeah, 1 row, 1 row, 1 row. So this is row 3, which is what we're currently on this one. So you can see the difference by doing row 1 and 2 the same colour. You get a more square shape, if you like. By doing a single row, it'll come out all a bit bitty like this. Now that was the look I was going for on this particular thing, because I'm in the process of making a big old bunch of granny squares. So what I'm going to do, and even though black isn't a great colour to do a tutorial on, what I'm going to do is show you how you would join them. So you can either come in later with and you know, you can make all your granny squares and then join them together separately at the end, and there are various ways of doing that. You can either just get your darning needle out and sew them together along these lines, or you can crochet them together by basically just doing a single crochet. What that will do is, I've got to find my corner. There's my corner. So I've got my corner space there. Find my corner space on this one. Corner space there. What I will do for this one is put slip stitch on the hook. And obviously I'm going to do it in this bright yellow colour so it really contrasts and you can see what it is going to be like. So I've got a slip stitch, and I'm going to pull that through and pull it right through so that the knot's at the back. I'm also going to pull through that other end there, and then what you would do is you would chain 1 and then single crochet them together. Now it's up to you how you join them. You can join every single stitch. So we'll start doing that. You would just basically go through. Now I'm working on the right side here, and what that will effectively do is give me a ridged and noticeable join between, oh, I'm going off the screen, ridged join. So I'm going to show you how that would look first. That's by going through both loops of the stitches, front and back. And what you would end up with is a ridged line like that, which sticks out. If you look at the side of the, look at it from kind of that angle, pretend that loop's not there. You've got two flat squares and you've got a ridged line. Now that might be the look you want to go for, and if so, that's fine. So that's one way of joining them. The other way of joining them is to pull that out, join as you go. So what you would do would be, as you were coming round on your last row of crochet here, you would get to, you do three sides of your granny square, and then when you get to your fourth side, you would basically pick up, and you would just slip stitch these squares together. And that's another way of doing it. You can actually just slip stitch as you go in. So when you get to your corner, you would do 3 double crochet, 1 chain stitch, 1 slip stitch into this corner, 1 chain stitch, and then your next cluster of 3 to finish off that corner. Then what you would do is, as you're coming along to these parts, when you get to your to this part, you would actually, you do your 3 doubles, and then you would slip stitch those 2 bits together. What that does, it gives you a nice flat join, and obviously it saves you a lot of sewing up at the end. So you do your cluster of 3, but what you would do on the second one is make your cluster of 3 for your second cluster of 3 for the corner. Then you'll slip stitch. Then you'll do your next cluster of 3 in this square, because that one's already done. You make your next cluster of 3 in this square, and then you would slip stitch 2 through there and into this square, which is already finished. Then you would make this cluster of 3 and slip stitch again. Then you would make this cluster of 3, we're back at the corner, remember, and you would do a chain 1, a slip stitch into that corner, and another chain 1, and then join. So join as you go is my preferred method if I know exactly what I'm doing. For this particular thing, I'm literally, these are ones I've just been doing to kill the time. So basically, what you need to be doing is just learn your basic granny squares, how to do a magic circle. If you don't want to do a magic circle to start, I'll just very quickly show you what it looks like if you do a chain. So you would start off with a slip stitch. You would chain 6 is normally a good number. Might not sound like very much considering the amount of stitches you've got to put in it, but it's usually enough. 5 and 6. Then you would go into the first chain and slip stitch those together. As you can see, it's not a huge circle, but in in the spirit of trying to make the final hole in the middle as small as possible. I mean, hey, if you want a big hole, you could do 12 chain stitches if you wanted to, but normally it's 6, and then you would just do what we've been doing. So you would chain 2, that's your first double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, double crochet. Then on this, I'm just going to do 2 this time because this is very chunky yarn. And then you do your next cluster of 3. Just keep pushing the stitches around, and you will find, as long as you're firm with it, you will be able to fit one, 2, and 3. Okay, so that's 3 sides, if you like. Push that around. What I am doing, if you notice, I'm crocheting over this back loop as well, so that'll save weaving it in because you've already crocheted over it all the way around here, and you can just snip that off when you're finished. So I've done my 2 chain, and then I'm going to do my last 3 double crochet, chain 2, and slip stitch to the top of this one here. Okay, so as you can see, we managed to get all 12, so that's 4 clusters of 3, all 12 stitches into that one chain, and there is still a bit of a hole. If you're okay with that, it's fine. Or what you can do is leave a longer tail when you're starting, and actually just knit that up with your starting thread. Just, you know, run your darning needle around and cinch it up together. That's the other way of doing it. And that, in a nutshell, is how you do a granny square. It's pretty straightforward. Like I say, you can make all sorts with it. Just have a look at granny square clothes or something. You'll see all kinds of weird and wonderful inspiration that people have made with granny squares. If you're interested in learning some different types of granny squares, like 3D granny squares or anything like that, let me know. I'm happy to just do a run through, a quick tutorial on anything like that. What I will do, given that we've had to go to YouTube again, as soon as I've finished this, I'll download it and add it onto the group media, and it'll be under the videos, media videos. I'll put it in there so you can slow it down, speed it up, do whatever you like, pause it as required. So that's it for tonight, ladies. Hope it's been useful, and see you all soon. Bye.